Hello and welcome to this Management Case Study Revisions suite of videos. My name's Pete. What we're going to be doing is reviewing the E2, P2 and F2 material from the point of view of your Management Case Study exam. And before we get into anything at all, it's important to remember that you've passed the exams in E2, P2 and F2 already. It's not going to be examined again in the same way. We are far more in a world of big picture and seeing things in context and problem solving in kind of a real world work-based simulation. So what I don't want you to do is to go back to your P2, E2 and F2 files and prepare for this exam like you're preparing for those OT exams again. The management case study, the focus of this case study is the medium-term implementation of longer-term strategies. So the role you have is that of a finance manager, and the case study, just like with the operational case, it's a work-based scenario. It'll be centered around a particular industry and a particular organization, and the examiner is testing your ability to think on your feet and to think of practical solutions, applying what you've learnt to a particular problem scenario. So the mindset is one of a finance manager, the knowledge, skills, techniques and mindset of someone who is working their way up through the finance department. Now, if you pass the case study exam, you're awarded the CIMA Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting. So that's another one for your CV. The exam itself, as with the operational case, has some pre-scene released a few weeks before the exam, so you can see the context for the exam and the industry that we are basing the scenario in. It pays to know your way around that pre-scene, to read it and understand it, and to a degree analyse it, but it doesn't pay to obsess about it. The idea is it's there to make sure that every candidate's got a level playing field when it goes into the exam. Everyone sort of knows the same sort of stuff. You'll be given some new information on the day that will be the main focus of your work, with the pre-scene very much being in the background. You will occasionally refer to it, but not in a massive way. You're given tasks to do, not questions, and that's in keeping with this exam being a work-based scenario. And the exam will be split into 4 sections. Each section will be 45 minutes long, where you'll be given some new information and some tasks to complete within that section. You can't bank time, so there's no point finishing any section early. You may as well keep polishing until your 45 minutes runs out if you finish a little bit early, because if you do finish early and move on, you won't get that time back ever again. You'll just end up finishing the exam a little bit early. You can't go back either. Once you've moved on, that section is locked away. You'll be asked to present your answer in a variety of formats. It could be reports, it could be letters, it could be briefing notes, and you don't need to worry about that format too much. The most important thing about the format is getting the tone right. So if you're doing a report, for example, that's going to be relatively formal. And a report, you would have headings on it, something along the lines of to, from, subject and date. You'd have a brief introduction, not a massive one because you just want to get the format mark. A brief introduction and then a conclusion and sign off at the end. In many ways, the P2, the Advanced Management Accounting paper, is the lead paper here. At the end of the day, this is an accounting qualification, a management accounting qualification at that, so maybe that's no surprise. So the focus will be on P2 type situations. But of course, it will be going across all 3 papers pretty consistently from exam to exam. As I said earlier, don't go back over your OT exam notes. You've passed those exams and the examiner knows that. We're now testing things in a slightly different way. We're looking at whether or not you can apply sufficient from those exams for you to do well in the real world. The way to prepare for this exam is not to sit relearning those notes. It's to focus on question practice and getting feedback on your particular answers. And I'd do that question practice in the real exam software or something close to it. So you want to get hold of as many mock exams as you possibly can that you can get marked. Okay, these summaries are not a subject summary for the purpose of the OT exam, so you shouldn't be using these videos to revise, if you like, for your E2, P2 and F2 exams. They've been angled towards case studies. In fact, some areas we've said this isn't very examinable in the case study, so we're not even going to go over it at all. So in case studies, there's much less in the way of detailed calculations and numbers. It's more about interpretation, pros and cons, commercially applying models in practice.